Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Water Cooler. I am Sarah from Texas, and this is our place to chat all the latest celebrity news, reality TV, which I did not watch last night. What did I watch last night? I don't know. Anyways, like, what did I do last night? Did I cook? Like, I can't even remember. Anyways, and Jeff Lewis Live. No more Jeff Lewis Extended. He has a 2-hour show. Oh my gosh, what are you thinking? There was a couple caller, at least one caller today that called in and said, I don't really notice a difference, but they did talk about the difference that it just smoothly goes into 2 hours, and that instead of Jeff Lewis Extended, where the co-hosts were hosting, meaning bringing the guest in and the intros and outros, as they call it in the biz, when like Kristen Takeman would stumble and have to be like, oh, we're back from commercial, or we're going to commercial. Now Jeff Lewis does all of that. He did admit, obviously the opening music changed. It's not Petty Ass Bitch anymore. It's something about drama, which is a good song, but all of us, will have to get used to a new song. If you're like me, you don't like change. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. I love that y'all are telling us what y'all are doing. Thank you so much. Ooh, 82 perfect degrees weather in Las Vegas. I love that. Underwriting life. I love a chumpette that can work and listen at the same time. I love it. Tiffany Chump already worked out and went to acupuncture. Hello, Debbie and Diane. Hello, everybody. I love when y'all can join live. If you are listening or watching as a replay, shout out. We adore you also. Please get comfortable in comments and comment along, because you can do that and everyone else can read what you have to say. Okay, let's get into it. I chose not to walk this morning. I had some errands to run, but also I'm going to try to do body pump with a friend tonight. So I didn't want to kind of over whatever, because I realize I'm in a mindset. I'm not 1,000% on board with being healthy again. I mean, I want to, but am I like walking 45 minutes to an hour and then doing body pump at night? No. Am I eating completely healthy? No. Did I have a beautiful, huge, delicious bowl of cereal this morning? Yes, I did. Did I also have lunch, which I posted, but it's not the healthiest cereal, but my lunch was really healthy, if that counts. But anyways, I'm back on the water train, which I kind of always am. I drink a lot of water, but anywho's, I listened to the Crystal Minkoff and Cynthia Bailey podcast. Okay. It's an hour 22, a little longer. I've got 16 minutes left to listen to it. I listened to it when I ran some errands, had to return some stuff, or return one thing to Amazon for part of a costume that didn't work for one of my kids. Well, we always buy like 2 sizes and see what works best when we're not sure. So I had to return something, and it's not terrible, but they talk about as if they picked it. They called this one the origin episode. It's episode 1, the origins of like their friendships. No, they're not that good of friends. They don't hang out all the time. For one thing, they're both busy, which we all are, but one lives full-time in LA, and Cynthia lives part-time in Atlanta and part-time in LA with her daughter. So anyways, it's basically a Bravo podcast. I mean, they are talking 1,000%, but there is a lot of BTS, they're calling it, behind the scenes. So they are breaking that fourth wall. They are talking about their contracts. They're talking about what Bravo pays for. They're talking about what friend brought them in, what friend really brought Crystal in, and what friend she had to say brought her in when Teddy Mellencamp was fired, was not recast. So anyways, I don't think it's terrible. Will I listen to it again? Probably not. But that's just, I enjoy a podcast. I do a podcast. I want y'all to listen to the podcast. I don't know that I'm going to get much different out of it. Also, I don't feel like Cynthia did a great job of selling it yesterday, which we talked about when a caller, Jeff Lewis Live caller, called in and asked her specifically, what is your podcast going to be about? And she was like, well, I'm in menopause and she's not. And I mean, it's not going to be a menopause podcast. I'm like, okay, well, thank goodness. Because if I wanted a menopause podcast, I probably want 1,000% menopause. Anyways, like I said, it's not terrible. I did make a video clip of it. What was that video called? I don't even remember. My brain. Okay. Oh, they were telling us how fake the friendships are. And this is kind of a theme throughout the whole thing of how fake it is that, they film for 5 months, then they don't talk to the other people for 7 or 8 months, and they'll be out and about doing things by themselves. And Cynthia and Crystal are like, fans will ask them, hey, where's such and such? Where's Nene? Where's Kim? Are you on a vacation? And they're like, no, like we don't even, it's like Crystal's very clear. She had zero relationship with those people off camera when she filmed first season. She's like, the fans didn't like me. I felt like the people didn't like me. It took an 8-month process. So when they act like, oh, they're just stumbling along Beverly Hills or stumbling along the streets of New York City, or they're in some rich, restaurant or shopping store, Chanel or, Gucci, and a producer sees them. No, that's not how it is. They're literally auditioning very long for this process. And maybe it was not as long, season 1 of Orange County, they didn't really know what they were doing. But trust me, y'all know I've dabbled in acting and stuff. It's a very long process for a lot of this stuff. I was up for I don't know if it was going to be, it was something they were doing Zooms with me before Zoom was even before the pandemic, because the production was like TLC's version of in England, a reality network over there. And they wanted to do a show. And probably my agent, because even though it's reality shows, these agents get wind of them and will put you up for things. So, we know that some of these people like Jennifer Aiden has been on another reality show. I mean, a lot of these people are in the loop. They're not just, oopsie, how did I end up here? No. First of all, they also talk, and I've heard from other people saying this, Cynthia and Crystal talk about season 1. Most of their paycheck went to pay for the glam that they are not required, but that they want to pay, and the clothing, the shoes, the upkeep, hosting parties, things like that. So it's interesting. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know that I'll listen to it again, but that's not a knock against the podcast. It's just a matter of time. I just don't have all the time in the world. Clearly, 4 days out of the week, I'm literally listening to 3 hours of live content before I even go live with y'all at 3 p.m. Texas time. So I'm listening to Andy Cohen and I'm listening to 2 hours of Jeff Lewis. So I did not watch 90 Day Fiance the other way last night. I will have to squeeze that in at some point and chat about that. But also tonight is New York City. Wednesday is Salt Lake City, and then Thursday is OC. So, I figure Bravo keeps me busy as crap Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, well, let me know if you listen to the podcast. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if there's too many podcasts in the world, if there's too many Bravo celebrities with a podcast. I did hear recently, and I guess maybe I'll ask about it in 1 week from tonight is the Sarah Fraser show and Behind the Velvet Ropes, David Yontef's next virtual podcast. So I've got my ticket. It's a Halloween theme. You can buy your tickets on the Sarah Fraser show, Behind the Velvet Rope. I've got a link right up now on a story. It's like $33. So totally after taxes and fees, it's amazing and so fun. But I did catch wind that it was called the Bravo Judge or something like that. Anna Concoces, yes, from Real Housewives of Miami, and Jeff Lewis. She and someone else with David Yontef were doing a podcast, and it's already squashed. So, everyone thinks they can do a podcast. Also, when you're dealing with 3 different hosts, it's got to be even more hard because, the time zones, the schedules, you've got to make the schedule work for you. Whatever profit they were making, then they've got to split up 3 different ways. Whatever ideas they have to agree to it. So I don't know what happened, but I might be trying to get the juice at the virtual podcast. Okay, I did listen to Andy Cohen Live, who is doing his show live from London because he's over there for this Hey You, kind of like their fan fest. It's kind of like their BravoCon for London. I was kind of wondering because when Bronwyn from Salt Lake City was on Watch What Happens Live last week, her husband was in the audience and they showed him almost nonstop. It's almost like he slipped the camera guy $500 and said, "Hey, put me on camera a lot." It was really yes, thank you. Bravo Bench is what it was called. Thank you, Yvonne Gal. A lot of y'all are saying hard pass, can't stand David. It was lame. Oh gosh. So anyways, I did never listen to it, but I would see the clips on David's on David's Instagram. Okay, so but Bronwyn's husband, so that rug, the famous rug that like Waka has spit up on and people have spilled wine on and people's shoes, so many Bravo celebrities, dirt and shoes have been on there and lots of red bottoms, I'm sure. It was up for auction for a charity. So I think that was the last night of it last week. And Bronwyn was saying, we need this in our house. Like, we need to buy this. And even Andy Cohen was like, yeah, like it would be perfect in your house. It's very colorful. It's very modern. So he updated us today. He is not the one that bought it. He doesn't even know who bought it, but it wasn't him. He also updates us that I think a caller called in. You know, when they take these calls or emails like Andy is wrong at SiriusXM.com, they do that. His apartment has been interesting, but nobody has tried to buy it yet. So he realizes it's a very expensive apartment. It might sit for a little while. He did congratulate Jeff Lewis on his going to 2 hours. So that was really good. Okay. Jay says, I liked Bravo Bench. Sad it's gone. Anna, not my favorite. So I don't know what happened but I'm going to try to find out because, you know, David's had, you know, I mean, if you know, you know, I had a co-host for a bit and, well, you know, she did a 180. So there's that. So it does happen. But the longer I do this, I realize, a lot of people like Alex Cooper, the huge girl that took lots of money from SiriusXM, or she was given lots of money, as Jeff Lewis says. She had a co-host at one point. There was lots of drama with that. So it's way common in the podcast world. I don't think I'll ever do a regular co-host again. It's just too easy for me to do my own schedule, my own content. You know, if I make $2 off of it, if I make $2,000 off of it, it's all my hard work. And I'm not going to divvy up the creative process with anybody. So I'm not willing to do that again. Okay. Yvonne Gal says, I think David left because I just started watching one with Anna Ace and Justin Martindale. Okay. Are they all three doing one? I did see that on Justin's, but I didn't know if he was just interviewing her. Okay. Is Justin part of the podcast now? Okay. I've got to look into this. Somebody let me know. HJPH, OMG. I'm at London Bridge tomorrow. What if I see Andy? You should totally send him a DM and just by chance see if he'll tell you a public spot he's going to be at that maybe you could see him and take a picture with. His kids are not with him. He is on a work trip, but he is, I mean, I tagged him in a couple of videos this morning or Instagram stories or reels, and he's looked at them. So at least he has time to look at them while he's on this vacation. But anyways, that would be amazing. If anyone is in London and gets to go to this Hey You thing, you know, I hear sometimes people have last minute tickets and they sell them at like a crazy price. So if you get to go, you get to go. It sounds like a lot of people. Yes. Okay. Yvonne Gal says they haven't explained it just yet in the podcast where I left. Girl, let us all know the scoop. We all want to know. Okay. So I did watch this morning. So it's going to be a little more time consuming, but it's so worth it. I love doing a podcast. I love chatting with y'all. I really do. I wish, and I'm not saying I'll never not do this. I don't know, but I wish I could watch the video that they put up in the commercial break so I could chat about it. I would rather watch Jeff Lewis live, although it's great to do it in my ear and like unload the dishwasher, you know, drive and run errands, you know, go pick up dry cleaning. But I would 2 hours would be a lot to sit and watch. Anyways, I watched the video this morning. So now the whole 2 hours is on video. The pre-show, there's 5 commercial breaks. So there used to be 2. Maybe there was 3 in the extended and I never paid attention, but there's now 5 commercial breaks and we get to see all of that conversation. So, and I think commercial break 1 yesterday was Kelly and Rick complaining about this house that they're trying to buy. They paid like $20,000 more than asking. Yeah, 20,000, 50,000, a tiny in the big scheme of things, it wasn't a ton more. But the people are not giving them any money for repairs, and they're kinda not I don't know, they were talking about it with Jeff, so it's kind of fun to listen to that. But on one part, Jeff looks at Kelly and says, "If I take line 2, please be careful." This is very much what we chatted about yesterday, right? Didn't we all agree on my comments and on our podcast and in the Sarah from Texas Facebook group? We were chatting about this. We felt like Kelly Dodd did a complete 180 in what she's always been saying about Tamara and what y'all told me she just ranted about her in her latest Patreon episode over the weekend. So it sounds like Jeff was kind of like, we don't know for sure that that was the call that called in and asked about Tamara, where she was very careful, very respectful, very like whatever. I mean, later in the show, she calls Tamara and Shannon too old for the show, but that people only want the young people on the show, but whatever. She's probably putting herself in that as like a 47-year-old, because Tamara, as we looked up, is 57 and Shannon is 60. But anyways, the bigger part of that is what came out when a caller was basically like, if Tamara's saying, if Tamara's own husband, Eddie, is saying that's not who she really is, then is she really being organic on the show, or is she just playing a part? And at that point, it's not reality TV and it's not what we want. It's kind of like what Crystal and Cynthia are letting us in on the secrets on their Humble Brag podcast. Like I said, I've only got like 16 minutes left, so I've listened to over an hour of it. There's a lot of behind the scenes. There's a lot of this is fake. A lot of we are not friends. The audience knows and believes the things that we bring into them. I'm like, no, we don't. Like, no, we don't. Like, I don't believe it at all anymore. I think it's all fake. I think it's all produced. I want to go back to the olden days of reality TV, but you can't, especially with all the lawsuits and the subject matter anymore. You know what I mean? Lisa says, "Woo! Here I am, better late than never." Why am I talking like that? Just because you're from Kentucky? Forgive me, Lisa. Hello to all my favorite chumpettes. Hello. Okay. But it does sound like what some of y'all said yesterday was we don't want Jeff telling a guest to be careful. We want Kelly Dodd to be open and honest and raw and rude and crude when she feels that way about someone. You know what I mean? So I thought it was interesting. You got to watch these commercial breaks. You got to watch the pre-show and after show. I'm telling you. Also, what I learned, is that a drum roll? It's my ring. Is that a drum roll? No. Do you think Jeff will really do this chump cruise? So in commercial break 4 on Monday, October 21st, he is chatting to Cynthia, because remember her planned trip that she was doing to Egypt to make money, as a money thing. He says, what's the name of that company? Because I want to know if it's the same one I'm working with. He has reached out, or they reached out to him, the one that Heather McMahon is putting on with like 16 or 17 other like famous people. They've sold out the entire cruise ship. I mean, it sounds so fun. If you're totally into comedians, it sounds really fun. Now, somebody tried to burst my bubble over on TikTok and commented something like, well, he always talks about stuff and then he never follows through. And I'm like, God dang it, don't burst my bubble. Don't burst my bubble. He has, and they even made a Chump Cruise promo about it. I think he's really looking into it. First of all, he's telling us the company is the same as Heather McMahon's. He's reading through an email about it. Then in commercial break number 5, he tells Crystal, yes, I'm looking into doing this and I can bring you on as a chump and you will make money too. And then she says, yeah, I think I needed more people. In other words, you kind of needed to group her together with some other people to do this Egypt trip. But then you got to split up the money, right? So there comes that. But Jeff's like, yeah, I think we all need a group. So I want to know what chump, or is it only Jeff? What chump would make you go through your 401k, go through your savings, go through your Christmas money, go through your new car savings, go through your condo money? What would you do to make this vacation happen. Because I'm wondering, I feel like Heather McMahon's, does anyone know? Was Heather McMahon's like a Carnival cruise? I feel like it's out of Galveston, which is in April, which is super doable. Like as far as price, like I feel Heather McMahon. Okay, let's look. Well, I think if I looked up her Instagram, I think it's sold out. I'm wondering though if his would be more fancy, you know what I mean? Like a nicer cruise, because he wouldn't, I don't think, go on a, I don't think he's Carnival cruise attire. Maybe he is. Okay, let's see. Breadwinner is her thing. Heatheratsea.com. Okay. Miami to Nassau, Bahamas. Does it say where it is, though? Shit. Okay. Somebody look at Heather at Sea, SEA, chumps.com. It is a lot of people, dance parties, appearances by Robin McMahon. I don't know who that is. Jeff Daniels, Tina Tompkins. I mean, braiding and hair extensions, karaoke. I mean, this yoga. I mean, this sounds like stuff that's normal on a cruise. Anyway, Zach Noe Towers is going to be on there. Lots of people. Anyways, and it's in April. So I'm wondering that if that's a little off season as far as kids are in school. So maybe moms or dads wouldn't be able to go as easily. Anyways, I think it could definitely happen. I think he's definitely talking about it. I wouldn't travel, Mary. This is what people were saying about it when Jeff, when she was promoting it 2 or 3 times on his show, is, you know, somebody reached out to me as a travel agent, said, actually, this is a really good deal. Like it's the flights, it's the food, it's the travel, it's a cruise also. I mean, it was a really good deal for Egypt. But then other people told me they wouldn't travel to Egypt. So I don't know. Mary says she wouldn't travel to Egypt right now. Michelle says Carnival is like flying Spirit Airline. Okay, and I've done 4 Carnival cruises and liked them. I mean, I don't really know much difference. The last time I cruised on Royal Caribbean was in 2000 for our honeymoon, so I don't really remember. I remember it, but it's hard for me to gauge it now because one was no kids and one is with kids. So, in one we flew to Puerto Rico to leave out of it, and one we just drive down to Galveston less than an hour. So it's super easy, super cheap. You know what I mean? Yes, a cruise is definitely all inclusive, honey. You think, Megan, what if he and Megan got back together? I never say never with anyone. You know what I mean? I never say never. That would be amazing. Like, well, she's sober, but I've done many cruises without drinking, because I'm cheap and don't really need the alcohol, but mostly because I'm cheap. But can you imagine the all-inclusive honey t-shirts? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm just happy living with my 7 dogs. What would it change? I don't know what y'all are saying. I know Michael Riley says, I thought they said that liability was too great to have a cruise, but I think they're now doing it through a company. You know what? Ding, ding, ding. This might be something that Jeff put into his contract. Hey, let me go from all the stipulations. Like, let me make a decision on which podcast I want to go on. Let me, whether it's big or small or indifferent or Sirius XM related or Radio Andy related or not. Also, let me make a decision on things like Chump cruises. Maybe he said, take me off of that. Like, I won't hold you like this is completely different. Like, this would be a Jeff Lewis thing, but yet it's his radio show, so he could promote it, right? I mean, it's hard that fine line, but I'm sure he can get the lawyer to make that happen. So maybe it did. Okay, another thing in news, and then we're going to get to Jeff Lewis Live, because like I said, I did not watch 90 Day Fiance the other way last night, the other way. This Abercrombie and Fitch guy. Now, that's not really our store. I think my kids have bought jeans from there, but it's not really a store that we've ever gone to. I think of it as the boys in like 10, 15 years ago that like stood outside without a shirt on, like trying to get people to come in. I don't even think you could do that anymore. There's apparently a documentary that I'm told to watch. Some friends were talking about it over the weekend that know I love documentaries and said that I need to watch this one. And I just saw a thing on it because I don't think they knew he was in trouble. That they were just a documentary about the company, Abercrombie and Fitch. But the ex CEO has got some similar charges to P. Diddy. So some not so great things going on behind the scenes there, apparently. What else is going on behind the scenes is Kanye. Kanye and Bianca still shopping away. I mean, things seem fine. She was dressed up like she's in the 80s. I have no idea what that's about, but do we ever understand what Bianca's attire is about? But I guess, TMZ, who I trust, had said that they had a very reliable source saying that he was telling people, but he said a lot of crazy things before. Like maybe he was going through another situation, another mental health situation that he got under control. Maybe they were just fighting. Maybe he just said something and somebody, sent it over to TMZ. I don't know. They were saying that he was definitely talking divorce, and maybe they were talking divorce and now they're fine. Maybe they're these couples that are like highs and lows, like fighting and not, you know what I mean? Who knows what's going on with them? Also, what I don't know is PK and Mauricio. Like, I would watch this. And now that PK is sober, he seems to be more present, or at least he's posting more on social media. He's posting his kids. He's posting stuff that he's doing with his daughter. They had a dinner and they posted it with the producer from Real Housewives, Alex Baskin. I don't remember what the thing said. I don't follow either one of them. So, or any three of them. So it must have come up. He must have hashtag something. PK has 202,000 followers. He's posted that his son came out of the hospital. He keeps putting music with shit. And he posted a picture of his daughter doing ballet. It looks like a camera, so it looks like she's doing a commercial. Hitting the streets of Sherman Oaks with my little swan. Anyways, but 5 days ago, this is old, 5 days ago, was so excited to have dinner with the big boss, Alex Baskin. He said, me and Mo had a great new show idea. 2 hours later, he basically wants us to remake Dumb and Dumber. Anyways, we got into a whole thing about who was dumb and who was dumber, and the dinner ended. I mean, I don't know. Would you watch a Mo, like, it makes the Dumb and Dumber, the caption makes me think it's something along the lines of like Crappy Lake-ish. And we know that got nixed, we think, probably because, what's her, tonsil, I love those. Oh my God, the tonsil stones. Sorry, I need to warn y'all. Is that the same one from last week? This is what my Instagram reels are all. Woo! Oh, good Lord. Oh God. Okay. Sorry. These are my Instagram reels. I don't even know what this stuff is. This is just what comes up for me. Food, dogs, tonsils, nuts. I have no idea. Hulu. Anyways, Sonia's a drunk, Michael Riley says. Well, I think, and we haven't seen any. For a while, she was posting a while, but we know she has like 17 unpaid interns. So I think she definitely has people post for her. But I feel like, based on that, and I feel like as busy as Countess Luann is, because Countess Luann has a very busy cabaret schedule, but also she travels a lot. She has fun a lot. She posts on her boat, but she does a lot of podcasts, and that takes a lot of time too. So, Debbie says no. Would I watch Mauricio and PK together on a Crappy Lake-like show? No. I didn't even finish Crappy Lake, I have to admit. I tried. Didn't finish Crappy Lake. I hate not finishing things. I didn't finish Crappy Lake, and I didn't finish season 1 of Vanderpump Villa. Like, there's only so much time in the day, and if you're not good, you're not good. Okay. Let's get into today's Jeff Lewis Live. It's weird, but we'll just say it like this until it's not, because he did say today, they're still kind of figuring out the format of it. They're open to people coming in for like 20 minutes. So at this point, he's announcing all 4 co-hosts, and they're all paid the same. So I don't know. I really think he even said today He likes the feel, he likes the vibe of extended, so he wants to keep that. I think what he means by that, I really think he relaxes. I really think, like, 1st hour, he's more, like, on and, like, let me whatever. 2nd hour is usually no live reads. I don't think there ever was live reads. Maybe there will be. I did notice this morning, I happened to be in the car I had to run an errand. I happened to be in the car between, for the first 2 hours, the replay of last night, so I listened to it for a second, but then I always listen to other music. I like to listen to music instead of re-listen to Jeff Lewis because I've already listened to it. But he was talking about no, it was a McDonald's commercial. That's what I was gonna say. It was a McDonald's commercial, and I was like, "Oh, I don't remember when Jeff Lewis Extended first started on 7, 8, 9, there was no commercials. It was only like promos of Radio Andy or Sirius XM. Then when it came over to channel 102, eventually there was commercials. And now, I mean, it was McDonald's. It was another big one. Don't remember what it was, but sometimes it's been like, ZipRecruiter, Way Hair. I mean, now McDonald's, it was like national ones, you know what I mean? Yes, JT says Abercrombie and Fitch was a huge controversial issue as in the late 80s. I didn't even know that store was around in the 80s. Like I was born in the 80s and I wasn't shopping there. When I was raising my children by sexualizing, dang, I thought they had recently changed. I've recently purchased a few items online. I don't know. I think they changed their front appearance as far as like guys standing out there with their shirts off trying to get people to come in, but this is the CEO, so it doesn't necessarily mean it has anything to do with Abercrombie and Fitch. You know what I mean? Like that to me is his personal life, what he was messing around in, and I would like to assume the company had nothing to do with it. Why am I losing my voice? Like Andy Cohen was talking today, or the podcast he did yesterday. He's just working himself so much that he's always losing a voice, and he's like, I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. I mean, they both go to daycare. They go to nursery school. Like they're a petri dish. Like the nanny's always sick. I'm sick. The kids are sick. I mean, fans, Michael Riley, do you have somebody come to your house? That Michael Riley, y'all, he fancy and he can't even hide it. He says, my hair guy just got here to cut my hair. Got to run. Fancy. What you doing? Don't you tell him you got a podcast to watch? Come on now. We need you to chat. You can be on your phone while you're getting your hair cut. Does he cut your eyebrows? I always love it when guys' eyebrows are trimmed, their nose hairs are trimmed, and their ears are trimmed. So just in case. Okay, let's get into it. Lots of opinions on Lala freaking Kemp. Mother of 2. She's 2 months postpartum. One boobie's bigger than the other because it was filled with milk and tingling. So relatable. I breastfed all 5 of my kids. I related to some of the callers. I did not get offended. I'm not that girl. I don't get offended that we'll talk about Shayna Mulker in a minute, talking about not wanting to breastfeed because she feels like it's like incestual. I don't feel like that. I was always super confident. My first baby was born in 2001. I was always super confident in breastfeeding, whether anyone saw it, whether they didn't. I had covers, but I breastfed everywhere, anywhere that my kids needed it. But I don't care if anyone else didn't. You know what I mean? I'm not the formula police. I'm not the breastfeeding is best girl. I'm not the, eating placenta. But I did want all of my children without medication, and I did that. And I wanted, I did want to have my kids as natural as possible. So the last 2 were born in a birthing center, which Jeff was like, ah! What he doesn't know probably is that they only take, yes, emergencies can happen in any birth. But let me just clear it up because my last birth was almost 15 years ago. So it's still quite a while ago. But with the birth centers, they only take low risk patients. At any time during your pregnancy, if you become high risk, they put you off to an OB with a hospital birth. But birthing centers have to be located within a circumference of a major hospital that delivers children. So there's that too. So in general, things don't just come up. Now with Lala, she said that with her latest baby, Sosa, she was born so quickly, like 2 minutes, apparently, that she took in a lot of amniotic fluid. I don't think I had any of that happen with my kids, even though I've had some of them quicker than others. I don't think that ever happened to me, so I'd never heard of that. What are y'all talking about? Andy does edibles. He doesn't smoke anymore. I don't know if he's ever said that, but he definitely does mushrooms. He's talked about mushrooms before. Oh, he wrote about it in his last book. Kind of makes sense because where did that go? He wrote about it in his last book, Sarah Lee says. I need to read all of his books. I need to figure out how to do audio books. Michael Riley, put it on the TV for him to watch. We want to hear what your hairdresser thinks of my podcast. Fancy. We have never, I mean, only during COVID where my daughters were cutting each other's hair. My husband bought a Flowbee thing to cut my son's hair. But other than that, we've never had it. We're not that fancy. Yes. Tiffany Chump says, I wasn't offended by Shayna Mokler, but Jamie talking about the mother feeding her baby to Starbucks in the morning. What an asshole. When the baby's hungry, they're hungry. I agree. I did feel like it's just, he has no experience. You know, well, he might be an uncle, but he's not a dad. He's not a woman. I just kind of blew it off. But yes, I get that. Trust me. Like I said, I breastfed all 5 of mine. I didn't want to hear it if anyone was offended. I really didn't care. I just didn't care. But I also realized that especially some women are not as confident, or their partners aren't as supportive, or their parents or friends or family aren't as supportive. And they're not as encouraging of breastfeeding anywhere. And they kind of want you to go into a bathroom. You know what I mean? Oh my God, Michael Riley. Living the high life over there in Orlando. Michael Riley, my manicurist, comes every 3 weeks. Well, I'll have you know, I just noticed my hangnails are getting bad. So I need to get in and get my manicure because my hangnails are coming out. You see those? Can't see if you can see those. Anyways, I know, right? Tiffany Shump says, wow, Michael, I want your life. Damn straight I do. Living the high life. He usually has a glass of wine by now. Yes, Jamie's like a 1950s housewife. Yes, I do think he's very traditional, very conservative in his thinking. Okay, Lala gets on with Ryan Bailey, who is a huge fan. He has So Good It's Bad, So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey podcast. Huge Vanderpump Rules fan, but Lala's like, oh, this guy kind of blasts me. And Ryan's like, I mean, no, but I am honest, and I have said some things about how I feel like, you know what I mean? So he starts kind of getting on her about the last episode. And Jeff's like, I'm kind of lost. I kind of got lost too. Because even though I have watched not every single, I quit watching Potomac. I quit watching Atlanta. What else did I quit watching? That's probably all. I think I watched most of Dallas. What else is out there? And I quit watching Miami. But I know enough about all of them. But once I watch them, I do kind of forget. So, and I don't really care. I don't rewatch. I don't have time to binge watch, whatever. But Lala definitely blames Tom and Raquel for breaking up the Vanderpump friend group and basically is on a rant. Not a rant. She's on I'm a new mom. I'm peaceful, but I'm pissed. I don't know what's going on. Do I have a job? Do I not? I mean, thank goodness she started Lala Baby or whatever. Call me Lala. Don't call me whatever do me Lala. Give me Lala. Give me Lala. Give me Baby Lala. Give me Skin Lala. Whatever she's selling. I hope it's all doing well because, she's got a lifestyle now that she's built up with the assumption that there might be a reality TV paycheck every time. And I don't know. So now, even on Andy Cohen Live, John Hill, when he was doing the news, he brought up the news that season 12, whenever they even start filming, because they haven't even started filming yet, it's late-ish October now for Vanderpump Rules, that will be the last season. Andy Cohen said he's not going to talk about it. He refused to comment at all. So later, she blames Ariana specifically for not participating in last season. So she's kind of alluding to her, but then later she specifically says that. And Jeff or a caller asked if she's friendly at all with Ariana, and she's like, no, and I don't want to be. So that's part of the problem. She holds resentment for the fact that Ariana was able to kind of not be seen with Tom as much or kind of had that power. And I think she holds resentment because she didn't have as much power when she was ending things with Randall, and Randall was still on the show, and Jax was still hanging out with him. The Toms were still hanging out with him, So I think she holds resentment for that. But I'm like, it's all a power thing. It's all who's ever most famous, who's ever making the money, who's ever bringing in the viewers. And trust me, I'm as surprised as the next girl how Ariana did a complete 180 in her fan base. I mean, she definitely, for a lot of reasons, I mean, she really pulled out her personality that to me, she had not been showing all those seasons, but I think it was always there. And I think she was just in a depressive state, some other things going on. And when she pulled herself out of that, she's blossoming and she did not hold back. She has not been a lazy ass. She's getting amazing opportunities, but she's also accepting them and doing the work and promoting and bringing the glam and bringing the beauty and the interviews. I mean, she's really done a 180 for sure. She does try to talk about the Valley, and she says that those are organic friendships. So kind of made me think Vanderpump Rules isn't, but also it's been on so long. Like it's kind of all they know at this point. I mean, every single one of them, think about it. Every single one of them has another stream of income, which is the most genius thing ever. They either have a pot. Does Tom Sandoval still have a podcast or did he stop doing it? Does anyone know? Wow. Remember all the Tom Sandoval? What was that called? I don't think he has a podcast anymore. Does anyone remember what it was called? He's done a lot of podcasts, but I don't remember what his was called. Wow, he's done a lot of them. Does anyone know? Bravo and Stone says, I resent Lala for trying to make Randall a thing. I mean, talk about, whew, I mean, she was definitely eyes glazed over with him because he looks like a troll. I mean, acts like a troll, is a troll, has no money. I mean, Tiffany Chump says, I was cracking up when I talked about how much of a slob she is. I can definitely see that. Yeah, I mean, they were like, she was messy and she's been messy before. But like Jeff said, he thinks she was depressed. And so, that was a whole other issue that was from. Sarah Lee says, as half owner of the house, why should she move out? So that gets all sorts of complicated because she actually wasn't half owner. Like, I think there was legal statements that she had put in less money on the house than he had, but then they had taken out a loan for some of his stuff. So I don't know where that stands right now, or if they've even ever sold it. Somebody alluded today, it feels like that Tom Sandoval is living somewhere else. I don't know if he's renting out the house. I have no idea. It was a mess though, for sure. I mean, like I said, Lala just holds a lot of resentment because that situation was very similar to her and Randall. And yet she was very clearly a biatch to everyone saying, do not hang out with Randall. Da, da, da. But then she's the one hanging out with Tom Sandoval and in some ways sticking up for him once Lisa Vanderpump let her know his mental health state, Tom Sandoval's. And I think that's when you saw the change, is when she brought her and was it her and Katie? No, her and Sheena over to her house and told them about that. But I think neither one, Sheena or Lala, are not talking to Tom right now. So, and again, to me, it's all about when they're filming. They're not real friends. Like the fact that Jax and Tom Sandoval has befriended each other, I think Tom, from what I've heard, does help as needed, whether it's on camera or off camera. Sheena has said he reached out and paid me money as a non-loan when he knew I needed money during the pandemic. They weren't filming. That was never caught on tape. That was never publicized. He's not the one that said it. She did. And now Jax Taylor has said that Tom is the only one that's reached out to him and is being a friend. So, oh, Jay says that Ariana has said they each put in 250,000. Can you even imagine having a $250,000 down payment well, I say at their ages, I literally forget that Tom's like 40. I mean, I I when they bought it, I mean, I think of him as like season 1 buying that house, and he was in a freaking apartment that, if you ran the toaster, it turned off the air conditioner. So, age, Tom Sandoval age right now, he's 42 right now. So they probably bought the house 4-ish, 5-ish years ago. So late 30s. Okay, that's respectable. Still, that's a lot of cash. That's a lot of cash from Vanderpump Rules. Wow. What else? Okay, we already talked about her bigger boob. She's nursing. Looks amazing. How these girls bounce back. I mean, she's not 20. It's her second kid. How she bounces back and looks that good at 2 months postpartum, I have no earthly idea, but she's always been amazing. Liz says Tom has been very generous to everyone over the years. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that kind of stuff. Lala does wonder why Ariana stayed in the same house as Tom, and basically it goes back to what Jeff would say at the time. And I think the person he was talking about, y'all tell me what you think, because remember a week or two ago, his friend, what's her name? The one that's usually on with Eve. Eve, not Eve. Oh, Jesus Christ. The one that's going through divorce, has 2 little kids. They live in the house. She used to be a talent agent or something like that. And now she's trying to think of what job she should get. What's that girl? Anyways, she called in sick. I think she's the one he's talking about, with a friend that doesn't want to leave the family house and has 2 little kids, but for her mental health, she needs to, yes, Kelly Wagner Osborne, that she needs to get out, but he didn't say the name, and we don't need to know the name, but it sounds very similar to that person. Like he said, it was an expensive house, which we know it is. But he did ask Lala, look, you had no money. You had no financial tie to the home that you lived in with Randall. But if you did, would you have left? And she's like, yeah, I think I would have. But it's easy to say that years later. It's easy to say that when you had no money in it. It's easy to say that in hindsight. In hindsight, we can all think of what we would have done. I don't know what she would have done at the time. I also don't understand, because I've only had a few friends divorce, so far. But in Texas, nobody stays in the house and lives in divorces. Like, usually the man, no offense, but usually the man gets an apartment and the woman stays in the house if she can afford it, or they work out something where the woman pays off the house to the man. These are only in my friends' situations. But I don't know what the rules are in Texas, in California, where Jeff lives, where they would kind of talk about not giving up the residential home. Like, the first person to move out is like, you're giving up. Like, I don't know if that's like, when people split up, usually doesn't somebody move out before the divorce is final? Like, you don't just live with them for 6 months or a year, however long a divorce takes. You know what I mean? Tiffany says, we'll never know. She had nothing to lose, and that's why she was able to just up and leave. Yeah. And I think, yeah. And I don't know, where did she go? Like, she has a brother that's super hands-on, helps out a lot, maybe even lives with her. A mom that's super hands-on, maybe helps out, maybe even lives with her. So maybe financially, all 3 of those people are making it where she can be a single mom of 2 little kids and have a house in the valley and a house in Palm Desert. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yes. Opposite Kim Zolciak and her husband can't afford to move out. And as crazy as it is, I think they're trying to keep some normalcy for their 4 kids. But I also think it's the fact that with 4 little kids, they can't exactly move into a 1-bedroom apartment. They can't exactly just move in with a friend. I mean, they've got 4 kids with them. So I don't know that either one are in a situation for a lot of reasons to move out of that house. You know what I mean? Hannah says, I lived with my ex for 9 months until I found a house. Wow. So y'all were amicable or it was horrendous like Ariana and Tom and y'all just dealt with it? Also, is that because you didn't want to give up the property? Like Jeff is making it sound like his attorneys have told him if one person moves out, then they're kind of giving up. Like, and I don't think that's the case at all. I can't imagine that's the case, especially if there's mental or physical or any other type of abuse. You know what I mean? Wow, child abandonment. Hannah says it wasn't easy, but my attorney said it would be child abandonment. Well, don't they do emergency? I don't know. Who knows? I guess every state's different in every case, but I would think you do an emergency custody hearing to be like, okay, you either do 50-50 or you do weekends, 1 week off, who knows? Who knows? Okay. She said that she would do Vanderpump Rules if they called her and said, in 2 weeks, we're going to pull the cameras up. But she said at this point, it feels like a job and it's never felt like a job. Now, this is where I like that she was very honest and breaking the fourth wall, absolutely, and telling us about that. But like I said, when she said that everyone at this point can afford to live without the Vanderpump Rules check, but she's very clear they all have these other livings, these other streams of income because of Vanderpump Rules. So if they go all off TV, they won't be asked on podcasts. They won't be promoting their next project. If they have a concert, if they have a podcast themselves, if they do a skincare line, if Sheena does a makeup line, I mean, if Brock starts doing construction because that's what he's doing on his Instagram, nobody will want to hear from them if they're not on a TV show. Flat out. And I think some of them have been actors. Like they started off as wanting to be actors, like Sheena and Tom models, probably Lala too. But none of them went that route. They all went the reality TV route. You know what I mean? Yes. Andrea says, I think each situation is different and there may be other reasons why we just don't know yet. Yes, that's true. You know what? And every time I touch I'm now thinking about the neck skin because I'm like, oh my God. I mean, the sun damage is real. Anyways, Lala was totally teasing Jeff today about the sun, about his neck. Who knows? Oh, my back is hurting. Oh my gosh, I love that. Lisa in Kentucky says, my ex-husband lives 5 houses down from me and cuts my grass. When I had a pool, he would buy chemicals and do the pool boy duties for my kids, of course. We've always gotten along. Now, that is a situation I can get behind. I love that. What happened? Which house did y'all live in as a family? In which house? So your kids would just go 5 houses down from each other, or were they adults when y'all divorced? If you said pool boy duties for my kids, I'm assuming they were kids, right? That's very awesome. Oh, thank you, Andrea. What a suck up. I love it. Your neck looks very young. No, I guess I sit and watch TV like this, or I stare at my phone and then I'll take a picture and I'm like, oh, that's attractive. Or I think from laying, like I lay on my side and then my skin. I have friends that tell me they lay on their back so their chest doesn't get wrinkled. And I'm like, I can't sleep on my back for 7-8 hours a night. You know what I mean? Oh, Claire's getting into it with someone. Randall wasn't a major cast member and his cheating wasn't with another cast member's best friend. Y'all are talking about the difference between Randall and Lala and Ariana and Raquel and Tom. I mean, yeah, that was horrible in their lives, but it was reality TV gold. And we all know that's probably the only reason there was a season 10 of Vanderpump Rules. I said it then. I stand by it because I'm a day one Vanderpump Rules watcher, and 8 and 9 were completely boring. They were dying out. They were getting older. There was no storyline. Scandival saved Vanderpump Rules, and that is why they have a season 10, and that's why they got a season 11, and we don't know what's going to happen with season 12. They just skipped right over that Lala is co-hosting with Travis Kelce for Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? Like they didn't talk about when it's coming out. She didn't seem happy about it. Like where he was filming that a long time ago. which means she would have been pregnant when she was filming it because her baby's only 2 months old, right? Does anyone know anything about that show? Um, oh, Southern Belle says you have to train your body. Ooh, I don't think I want to. You have to train yourself to sleep on your back. It definitely takes time. What are the benefits of sleeping on your back? I used to sleep on my stomach, but I've gotten older and fatter. The boobage is not comfortable laying on my stomach. Yeah, I'm a side sleeper for sure. And I switch. And I just got a year or two ago this little pillow, and it's about this thick. It's hard and it goes between my knees. It's little, but it's kind of got a concave and it keeps my hips straight, if that makes sense. Like it's supposed to not make your hips wonky doodle. God, I love old age. I was texting with a friend this morning and we were just talking, diet things and intermittent fasting and, keeping our hormones on track and what our doctors suggest for us. And we were like, this is old age. This is what we do. Um, Jeff and Lala definitely, like, Jeff was all about taking the calls that were coming at Lala, and they definitely were, but she had a lot of calls that were pro Lala for sure, but it kind of extended into the next hour with Jamie Kennedy and Shayna Moakler. Okay. She must be doing well. Shayna Moakler lives now in Dallas. She met a man. I guess he's an actor, she said. But she flies back to LA to get all these beauty treatments done, like hair, not her eyelashes. What did she get done? Like brows. Her dentist is in Las Vegas. She's flying JSX. Like whatever she does in the beauty business, what is it called? Beauty pageants? Yeah, beauty pageants business. She is doing really well. Yes, it's Tiffany Chump says, I need a pregnancy pillow. My hips are shot and they kill me at night. This is just tiny, so it doesn't even make you hot like a full-on pregnancy pillow. But a pregnancy pillow or a regular pillow, you just plop your leg over it. Basically, if you sleep with a pillow between your legs, if it's hard enough, it's going to keep your hips a little more whatever. But Google it on Amazon. Treat yourself to something, Tiffany. You'll be... And I don't use it every night. I kind of thought about it last night as I was going to bed, and I got it off my nightstand, but I don't think to use it all the time. I know everybody's got hip issues. I love it. I love it. Yes. Tiffany Chump, I love that. She says, Lisa, your ex-husband's the definition of a true man. That's wonderful. I wish more breakups would end that way. You always focus on what's important, all the way opposite of what Sandoval did. Yeah, for sure. That was a terrible breakup. What was that? They talked a lot about calls being quick or not. And Jeff basically said, look, I get a lot of people that complain. And I guess I see this on the Sarah from Texas Facebook group. People are like, no more callers. We need more callers. So people are always going to bitch and moan. He's just trying to make the majority happy. But he's said this before, and I've actually chatted with him on the phone about this. When people tell you, oh, I hate that you do this, then he changes it. And then you got more people saying, oh, I hate that you changed this to this. So he's like, I just do what I want. I have the co-hosts on that I want. I talk about the content I want, and everyone can just deal with it because you're not ever going to make everyone happy. And the minute you try and you do things that are unnatural or inorganic, if that's a word, that's why we say, I talk about stuff that I want. If nobody wants to chat about 90 Day Fiance, they can skip through it. I love chatting 90 Day Fiance, but there are a ton of us that do also. So, I just have to talk about things that I want to. Otherwise, it's not who I am. And I'm not doing this because I don't love it. You know what I mean? What else? Jeff said he is making more money. So he didn't tell us anything, but he's definitely happy about the money. But we did talk about how the difference is on the shows now that he is hosting the shows, and the Jeff Lewis Extended is more of just an extension of the hour. So we are going to wrap things up. We have about 1 minute for open questions. Please don't give me a Mary F. Kill. Although yesterday's was kind of easy. Southern Belle Cell says, sleeping on my back for years. I had pillows under my feet, my neck, my head. I'm aging. In your knees. Wow. That reminds me of when I got a massage on Sunday at the spa, and they put the pillow underneath your ankles and your knee. Oh, it feels so good. Feels so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, who is Greg Vaughn? Yvonne Gal says Greg Vaughn is supposedly Shayna's boyfriend. I don't know who he is he how could he live in Dallas if he's an actor? I mean, I guess he could fly out, but I mean, I guess a lot of actors are moving to Texas, but I didn't really think of if you're an actor who's always working, I guess I wouldn't think you would live in Dallas, but I have no idea. Anyways, well, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you're following me everywhere at Sarah from Texas Podcast. If you're listening on a podcast, or even if you don't, please take 3 seconds. Go to Apple, go to Spotify, go to Amazon, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts. Type in Sarah from Texas and then scroll down and you'll see some stars. Give me a 5-star rating. And then it says write a review. Hit write a review and just write anything very nice. I would really, really, really appreciate it. As Zach Noe Towers yesterday said, the algorithm loves it. So anyways, bye, Chumpets. Adore you.